We grew up. I grew up on a farm with 12 other kids. There were 6 girls and 6 boys, and a lot of people had 2 or more kids. Some people asked me if we were Catholic. People loved Dolly Parton, who is known as the Queen of Country Music. She is known for her warm smile, endless charm, and unforgettable hits. But behind her glamorous image, Dolly has had her fair share of problems, such as a long-running fight with another famous woman. A nasty fight that really upset Dolly was talked about for years. At age 78, Dolly Parton finally tells her how much she really hated her. What did they really do to each other? We will look into the truth about this tense relationship and Dolly's emotional problems that she hid for decades in this video. Dolly's life before she became famous. The 19th of January 1946 saw the birth of Dolly Ross Parton in Sevier County, Tennessee, in a small cabin with only one room, close to the Little Pigeon River in the middle of the Great Smoky Mountains. The poor beginnings of her family were a big part of how she was raised. Robert Lee Parton, a farmer and construction worker, and a V, had 12 children, and Dolly was the 4th. Ellen Lee Caroline Owens. The Partons had a big family and not much money, so it was hard for them to get by. They didn't have electricity or running water inside, surviving mostly off of the land and Robert Lee's hard work. At the time she was born, music was a big part of Dolly's life. Ave Lee, her mother, had a sweet singing voice and taught Dolly traditional ballads and church hymns. The sounds of the Appalachian region filled their home. What Dolly learned about music in these early years was just the start of something great. She began singing in church when she was young, and it was clear right away that she was talented. When Dolly was 6 years old, she was already performing, often to show off her voice and love of music. Dolly began performing with a guitar she made herself when she was only 6 years old in 1952. It wasn't long, though, before her music dreams became more serious. When she was only 8 years old, her uncle Bill Owens, who was involved in the local music scene, saw how talented she was and gave her a real guitar. This moment changed Dolly's life because it made her want to write her own songs and think about a career in music. Even though they were having a hard time with money, Dolly's family always supported her goals. They told her to follow her dreams because they knew she had a special talent. Appalachian traditions were a big part of Dolly's childhood. The stories, folktales, and music she heard as a child had a big impact on her own style of music. Dolly didn't let her poverty get her down. Instead, she used it to drive her to succeed and one day make things better for her family. The hard times Dolly went through only made her stronger, and hearing music early in life set the stage for her legendary career. Her story shows that you can have a great life even if you start out very poor. But here's what's really strange. How did a girl with only a dream and a voice win over so many people? Allow us to keep watching to learn more. Her early work. Dolly Parton's amazing journey into music began when she was very young. As early as 1955, she was already performing on East Tennessee radio and TV shows, with the most well-known appearances being on the Cass Walker Show. These early shows helped her build both her stage presence and her confidence, which helped her become a better performer. This experience helped her improve her skills and build a strong base for what would become an amazing career. By the time Dolly was a teenager, she was already well known in the local music scene, which proved that she was very talented. Dolly rose to fame by leaving her small-town life behind and going straight to Nashville, the center of country music, after graduating from high school in 1964. Like many people who want to be artists, her first steps were hard. In the very competitive music business, she had a hard time getting noticed, but her songwriting skills soon got her noticed. It wasn't long before Combined Publishing saw how talented Dolly was. She then started writing songs for other artists. Put It Off Until Tomorrow, which was a hit for Bill Phillips, was one of her first songs that did really well. This song won her and her uncle Bill Owens a prestigious BMI award, which made her songwriting skills stand out. Dolly signed with Monument Records in 1965, but at first the company tried to market her as a pop singer. However, her first pop singles didn't do very well. Monument saw right away that Dolly's heart and voice belonged in country music. Because of this, her first country single, Dumb Blonde, came out in 1966. The song made it to number 24 on the Billboard Country Music Chart, which was a big step forward in Dolly's career. Fans of country music loved it because it showed how strong and independent she was. It also set the stage for her rise to fame. The work she did with the Porter Wagoner Show. It was a big change in Dolly Parton's career when she joined the Porter Wagoner Show in 1967. As a well-known country music star, Porter Wagoner saw how talented Dolly was and asked her to be on his popular TV show. This partnership changed everything for Dolly because it let her reach a lot more people. Wagoner saw that Dolly had talent as both a singer and a songwriter. With his help, Dolly signed with RCA Victor, which was a big step in her career. Wagoner also said he would produce her records, which put her on a strong track to success. In October 1967, they put out their first single together, called The Last Thing on My Mind. It went straight to the top 10 of the country music charts. This duet was a big hit. It solidified their musical partnership and turned out to be the start of a long and successful working relationship. It was clear that Dolly and Porter got along, and the audience was enthralled by their performances. Because of how well the duet did, they made their first album together, Just Between You and Me, which came out in 1968. The album did very well in the marketplace. It reached number 8 on the Billboard Top Country Albums chart, and making Dolly an even bigger star in the world of country music. Dolly had big plans for her career, even though her partnership with Wagoner was going well. She wanted to be a solo artist. Just Because I'm a Woman was her first solo album, which came out in 1968 on RCA. Even though the album didn't do as well as her duets with Wagoner, it was a big moment in Dolly's career. The title track talked about how women were often treated unfairly, which showed how brave Dolly was to use her music to address social issues and how emotionally connected she was with her fans. Dolly made a big and risky choice in 1969. For 7 years, she worked on the Porter Wagoner Show. Then she quit to focus on her solo career. This move was a huge sign of independence because it showed Dolly's desire to leave Wagoner's shadow and become her own person. Dolly was determined to succeed on her own terms, even though the change wasn't easy. What would Dolly's first brave move be after she left to go her own way? Could she really do well by herself? We should take a closer look, I think. There were some songs by Dolly that made history. Dolly Parton released the album Just Because I'm a Woman in 1968 to mark her first solo show. This song wasn't just a way for her to show how confident she was in herself, it also set the tone for her becoming one of the most loved and powerful voices in country music. As Dolly started to work as a solo artist, her songs continued to touch people's hearts, and her own style started to take shape. Jolene, one of her most famous songs, came out in 1973. People were immediately drawn in by the song's haunting melody and vivid story, making it a classic that will last forever. Jolene shot to the top of the country charts, making Dolly even more famous as a great storyteller with a voice that could move mountains. In 1974, Dolly penned and recorded I Will Always Love You, a heartfelt farewell to Porter Wagoner. The song was a bittersweet declaration of love and independence, reflecting the complexity of their professional relationship. It quickly reached number 1 on the country charts and later achieved global fame when Whitney Houston covered it in 1992, making it a worldwide sensation. This era was a turning point for Dolly as she ascended to superstardom with other hit songs like Love Is Like a Butterfly and The Bargain Store, further cementing her place as a leading figure in the country music world. By the mid-1970s, Dolly had firmly established herself as a country music icon, but she wasn't content to stop there. In 1976, she began to explore new musical horizons, aiming to expand her reach to a broader audience. This phase of her career was marked by a bold decision to venture into pop music, an ambitious and risky move for a country artist at the time. Her 1977 album, Here You Come Again, was a significant milestone, with the title track becoming a massive hit. It climbed to number 3 on the pop charts and reached number 1 on the country album charts. This success demonstrated Dolly's incredible versatility and her ability to appeal to a wide range of listeners, blending pop and country in a way that resonated across genres. Dolly has always been known for pushing boundaries, but what happened when she aimed for something even bigger than music? Let's explore what might be on the horizon, journeying to Hollywood and beyond. During this exciting time in Dolly Parton's career, she became a familiar face, not just in country music, but also on television. Her natural charm, quick wit, and undeniable charisma made her a favorite guest on talk shows and variety programs across the country. In 1976, Dolly took things a step further by launching her own variety show, Dolly, which ran for a year. The show wasn't just about music. It allowed her to showcase her wide range of talents, winning the hearts of even more fans and expanding her influence far beyond the country music world. The industry couldn't help but take notice of Dolly's growing impact. Her hard work and talent were recognized with numerous awards, including several prestigious Country Music Association (CMA) accolades. In 1978, Dolly reached a new milestone when she was named the CMA's Entertainer of the Year. A true testament to her incredible contributions to country music. This period of Dolly's career was marked not only by commercial success, but also by critical acclaim as she continued to break boundaries and surprise everyone with her endless creativity. As the 1980s rolled in, Dolly made yet another bold career move that would take her to even greater heights. She ventured into acting, debuting on the big screen in the 1980 comedy 9 to 5, starring alongside legends like Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. The film was a massive hit, and Dolly's performance was widely praised for its warmth and comedic timing. She wasn't just another face in the ensemble. She stood out with her natural charm that translated perfectly onto the screen. But acting wasn't the only thing Dolly brought to the movie. She also contributed the film's theme song, 9 to 5, which quickly became one of her biggest hits. The song topped both the country charts and the Billboard Hot 100, becoming an anthem for working women everywhere. Its catchy tune and empowering lyrics made it a timeless classic and showcased Dolly's ability to connect with audiences from all walks of life. Riding the wave of her success, Dolly continued to explore more film opportunities. In 1982, she starred in The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, a musical comedy that allowed her to shine as both an actress and singer. The film featured the song Hard Candy Christmas, which became yet another hit for Dolly. Her seamless transition between acting and music cemented her status as a versatile entertainer. Throughout this era, Dolly never slowed down on the music front either. In 1981, she released the album 9 to 5 and Odd Jobs, which was a commercial success. The album blended country pop and rock, showcasing Dolly's versatility and her willingness to experiment with different musical styles. This chapter of Dolly's career was filled with successful albums, chart-topping singles, and a firm place in the entertainment industry as one of the most beloved figures in music and beyond. Dolly Parton's continued success. In 1983, Dolly Parton teamed up with Kenny Rogers to release the iconic duet Islands in the Stream, written by the Bee Gees. The song quickly soared to the top of both the country and pop charts, proving Dolly's universal appeal and ability to cross genres effortlessly. The song's massive success further solidified her position as a versatile artist who could seamlessly navigate different musical landscapes. In 1984, Dolly followed up with The Great Pretender, an album featuring covers of classic 1950s and 1960s songs. The album showcased her unique interpretation of old favorites, adding her own touch and giving them a fresh feel. The following year, she and Kenny Rogers reunited for another hit duet, Real Love, which was also a success. However, it was Dolly's 1987 collaboration with country music legends Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt on the album Trio that truly stood out. The album was a critical and commercial triumph, going platinum and winning a Grammy Award. Praised for the incredible harmonies and chemistry among the trio, the album became a landmark moment in country music history. As the 1980s drew to a close, Dolly returned to her country roots with her 1989 album, White Limousine. The album was well received by both critics and fans, reinforcing Dolly's status as a powerhouse in the music industry. Around the same time, she opened Dollywood, a theme park located in Tennessee that celebrated Appalachian culture and quickly became a beloved destination for visitors from all over the world. Dolly's hands-on involvement in the park's operations, along with her frequent appearances, made it clear that she was more than just a country music star. She was an astute businesswoman with a deep connection to her heritage. In 1991, Dolly released the album Eagle When She Flies, which included the hit song Rockin' Years, a duet with Ricky Van Shelton. Her television variety show Dolly aired from 1987 to 1988, once again showcasing her many talents and her ability to entertain audiences through both music and humor. The early 1990s were a busy time for Dolly. In 1993, she released Slow Dancing with the Moon, an album featuring collaborations with artists like Mary Chapin Carpenter and Tanya Tucker. The album was met with praise, further highlighting Dolly's gift for collaboration and her ever-expanding influence in the music industry. In 1994, she released Heart Songs Live from Home, a live album capturing a performance at Dollywood. The album showcased Dolly's live appeal and demonstrated her ability to connect with audiences through her performances. The following year, Dolly revisited traditional country music with her album, Something Special, and in 1996, released Treasures, an acoustic album of her favorite cover songs. These releases reminded fans of Dolly's deep roots in country music and her enduring love for the genre. In 1999, Dolly embraced her bluegrass roots with the release of The Grass is Blue. The album was a critical success, winning the International Bluegrass Music Association's Album of the Year award. This marked a significant turning point in Dolly's career as she reconnected with the Appalachian music she had always loved, earning a new generation of fans in the process. Following the success of The Grass is Blue, Dolly continued to explore bluegrass with her 2001 album, Little Sparrow, which blended traditional and contemporary styles. Critics praised the authenticity of the music and Dolly's powerful vocals. In 2002, Dolly released Halos and Horns, a genre-blending album that featured a mix of bluegrass, country, and other influences. One of the standout tracks was her bluegrass rendition of Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, a daring move that demonstrated her adventurous musical spirit. Around this time, Dolly's contributions to songwriting were recognized when she was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2001. This honor cemented her legacy as one of the most influential figures in music. The early 2000s were marked by a surge in Dolly's career. In 2003, she released For God and Country, a patriotic album that combined classic American tunes with her own compositions. This project showcased Dolly's deep connection to her roots and her love for her country. Her frequent television appearances kept her in the spotlight, allowing her to introduce her music to new audiences. Through talk shows and television specials, Dolly charmed viewers with her stories, humor, and life philosophy, reinforcing her image as a beloved and relatable star. As the mid-2000s approached, Dolly continued to expand her horizons. In 2006, she released Those Were the Days, an album of covers from the 1960s and 1970s. With her unique spin on classic hits, Dolly showed her appreciation for the music of that era while also adding her signature style to each track. During this time, Dolly's business acumen was evident as Dollywood continued to thrive, becoming a major tourist destination. Along with her hands-on approach to its operations, endeared her even more to fans and highlighted her entrepreneurial spirit. In 2008, Dolly made a notable return to mainstream country music with the release of Backwoods Barbie, her first country album in nearly a decade. The album, which featured both new songs and covers, debuted at number 2 on the Billboard Top Country Albums chart. Fans and critics praised Dolly's blend of traditional country music with her own unique style, proving that she was still a force to be reckoned with in the music world. In 2009, Dolly ventured into Broadway with 9 to 5 the musical based on the 1980 film in which she starred. Dolly wrote all of the music and lyrics for the show, earning several Tony Award nominations, including one for Best Original Score. This success showcased her talent as both a songwriter and composer, further expanding her influence in the entertainment industry. Throughout this period, Dolly toured extensively, performing to sold-out crowds around the world. Her concerts were a mix of classic hits and new material, filled with warmth and humor, allowing her to connect personally with her audiences by sharing stories from her life and career. Dolly remained dedicated to philanthropy, focusing on causes such as literacy and disaster relief. She expanded her Imagination Library program, which provides free books to children from birth to age 5 to several countries outside the U.S. Her commitment to education and her passion for reading were evident in her efforts to promote literacy worldwide. Additionally, Dolly made significant contributions to disaster relief, supporting communities affected by natural disasters. Through her charitable work, Dolly demonstrated her deep commitment to making a positive impact on the world. In 2011, Dolly released the album Better Day, a mix of traditional and modern country sounds. Although it received mixed reviews, the album showcased her strong vocals and peaked at number 51 on the Billboard 200 chart, as well as number 9 on the UK Albums chart, her highest chart position in the UK at the time. In 2014, Dolly released Blue Smoke, an album that celebrated her musical roots with a mix of bluegrass, country, and gospel elements. The album debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200 and topped the Billboard Top Country Albums chart. The accompanying Blue Smoke World Tour was a huge success, praised for Dolly's energetic performances and heartfelt storytelling. In 2016, Dolly released Pure and Simple, an album featuring love songs with stripped-down production that highlighted her vocals and songwriting talents. The album debuted at number 11 on the Billboard 200 and topped the Top Country Albums chart. Dolly's Pure and Simple tour, her biggest North American tour in over 25 years, reconnected her with fans across the continent. During this time, Dolly also made strides in television and film production, releasing 2 successful holiday-themed films, Dolly Parton's Christmas of Many Colors, Circle of Love, and Coat of Many Colors, which were based on her early life and showcased her storytelling skills. In 2020, Dolly released A Holly Dolly Christmas, her 3rd Christmas album, which featured collaborations with artists like Michael Bublé and Willie Nelson. The album debuted at number 16 on the Billboard 200 and topped the Top Country Albums chart, proving Dolly's continued versatility and appeal. In 2021, Dolly won an Emmy for her Christmas special, Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square, further cementing her ongoing influence in entertainment. She also announced a collaboration with author James Patterson on the novel run Rose Run, which was accompanied by a soundtrack released in 2022, blending literature and music. In 2022, Dolly's impact on the music world was recognized when she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Her rock credentials were further solidified with the release of her 2023 album Rockstar, featuring collaborations with legends like Paul McCartney and Stevie Nicks. The album was praised for its ambitious blend of rock and country, showcasing Dolly's ability to evolve and innovate. In 2023, Dolly launched Vinyl Me Parton, a subscription service in collaboration with Vinyl Me Please, which reissued classic albums from her catalog on vinyl. This project included landmark albums like Jolene and 9 to 5 and Odd Jobs, allowing new generations to experience her music in its original format and underscoring her lasting legacy in the music industry. But who did Dolly Parton finally reveal she truly disliked? Keep watching to find out. The ill-fated trio. In the mid-1970s, three of the most talented women in music, Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Emmylou Harris, started thinking about working together. Each of them was already a star in her own right. Dolly was celebrated for her heartfelt country songs. Linda had a reputation for mastering multiple musical styles, and Emmylou was known for blending traditional country with modern influences. The idea of them teaming up promised something legendary, a collaboration that fans couldn't wait to hear. In 1987, their much-anticipated album Trio was finally released, and it lived up to all the hype. The songs were stunning, the harmonies were beautiful, and the chemistry between the three women was magical. Their voices together created a sound that was unlike anything else, and the album became an instant success. Fans adored it, and the music world took notice. Trio went on to win multiple awards, cementing its place in country music history. However, behind the scenes, all was not as harmonious as it seemed. Tensions began to build between Dolly and Linda due to their very different approaches to making music. Dolly, who loved to work quickly and capture the raw emotion of a moment, clashed with Linda, who was a perfectionist. Linda would spend hours, sometimes even days, re-recording tracks to make sure every note was flawless. Dolly, on the other hand, preferred to go with the flow, letting the feelings of the moment guide the recording process. This difference in style caused a lot of frustration. While Emmylou tried to act as a peacemaker between them, the growing tension was hard to ignore. Despite these challenges, the trio managed to finish the album, but the strain in their personal relationships was becoming more apparent. Working together became increasingly difficult, and the creative differences between Dolly and Linda made future collaborations seem uncertain. Although they had created musical brilliance, it had come at a personal cost. As plans for a second album began to take shape, the tension between Dolly and Linda only intensified. Their contrasting work styles became even more of an issue. Linda's meticulous attention to detail clashed with Dolly's desire to keep things spontaneous and emotionally raw. But the pressure was getting harder to manage. Dolly later admitted in interviews that working with Linda was one of the most difficult experiences of her career. She explained that Linda's slow, perfection-driven process often left her feeling frustrated. While Linda would spend endless hours perfecting just one track, Dolly was eager to move on, believing that too much polishing could strip the emotion from the music. Dolly once revealed that Linda's slow pace made her angry, though she tried to laugh it off during interviews, hiding her deeper feelings of frustration. But the issues between them went beyond just music. On a personal level, Dolly felt out of place in Linda's world. Linda frequently hosted gatherings filled with top musicians and Hollywood stars, and although Dolly was invited, she often felt like an outsider. Dolly wasn't used to the glamorous high society circles Linda moved in. She would joke about being a fish out of water at these parties, but the truth was that the experience was painful for her. Over time, this feeling of not fitting in took its toll. Dolly's longtime guitarist, Don Roth, explained that her discomfort wasn't because of arrogance or pride, but because she felt like she didn't belong. She feared she couldn't connect with Linda's social circle. And that gap only widened over time. Despite the success of Trio, the emotional strain was growing for Dolly. Now, how would Dolly handle the ongoing creative differences and personal discomfort? Would she continue to push through for the sake of the music, or would the tension ultimately drive the trio apart? The dark side of partnership. As the trio began planning their second album, it quickly became clear that things were unraveling. Conflicting schedules, clashing personalities, and differing priorities made it nearly impossible for them to recapture the harmony they once had. While Emmylou Harris remained a calm and steady presence, the relationship between Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt grew tense, eventually reaching a point where it couldn't be fixed. What started as a promising collaboration had turned into a source of frustration and regret for everyone involved. It took years for their second album, Trio I, to finally be released in 1999. By that time, the music industry had shifted. And although the album was well received by fans and critics alike, the process had taken a heavy toll on Dolly Parton. Juggling her successful solo career with the demands of the trio left her emotionally and physically drained. Dolly has since opened up about the emotional impact of that period, revealing how deeply it affected her. For a while, she harbored intense resentment, not just toward Linda, but toward the entire situation. The project, which once brought joy and excitement, had become something that made her feel trapped. It was no longer about the music, it was about feeling stuck in a collaboration that had lost its spark. An unyielding perfectionist and a free spirit. Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt's different approaches to music eventually led to creative tensions that felt deeply personal. Linda's unwavering pursuit of perfection made Dolly feel as though her instincts and ideas weren't being valued. Dolly began questioning whether her input even mattered in the trio, or if she was simply being included as a figurehead in a project that could easily move forward without her contributions. The more Linda pushed for everything to be flawless, the more Dolly retreated inward, feeling the need to protect her sense of artistic freedom. From Dolly's perspective, Linda's meticulousness was overwhelming. What Linda saw as a way to elevate their work to new heights, Dolly saw as stifling pressure that threatened her creativity. While Dolly felt marginalized, Linda was trying, albeit in her own way, to keep her engaged in the process. Linda's drive for excellence was not intended to push Dolly aside, but to create the best music possible. Unfortunately, this drive only deepened the divide between them. Their mutual respect for each other's talent was clear, but their working styles couldn't have been more different. Linda's slow, detail-oriented approach frustrated Dolly, who thrived in fast-paced, spontaneous recording sessions. Their creative clash reached a boiling point when Linda and Emmylou Harris suggested recording a few tracks without Dolly, limiting her presence to only a handful of songs. This suggestion felt like a deep betrayal to Dolly, who had envisioned the trio as an equal partnership. For her, stepping back from any song wasn't just an insult to her artistry, but also to her role as a founding member of the group. This disagreement was a turning point for Dolly. She realized the collaboration, once so exciting, had lost its magic for her. Feeling hurt and sidelined, she began to emotionally detach from the project. The differences in their creative visions almost tore the group apart, but somehow they pushed through to produce an iconic album. After numerous delays and much tension, Trio I was finally released in 1999. The album was a success, earning a Grammy nomination and proving that the musical chemistry between Dolly, Linda, and Emmylou was still captivating. Yet for Dolly, the success came at a cost. The recording process had been so emotionally draining that the triumph felt hollow. She couldn't fully savor the achievement because of the strain the project had placed on her. In interviews following the album's release, Dolly spoke candidly about the difficulty of bringing Trio 2 to life. She admitted that it had been far harder to complete than their first album, and although she was proud of the music, the emotional toll it took left her exhausted. She shared that every note felt like a battle, and by the end she questioned whether she ever wanted to go through such an experience again. Dolly later reflected on her role in the conflict. In her autobiography, she acknowledged that her own stubbornness had contributed to the delays and tensions. She confessed that she had been a significant part of the problem, and she regretted that her actions made the process harder for everyone involved. The experience left Dolly more cautious about future collaborations. She chose to focus on her solo work, where she had complete creative control, and she emerged from the ordeal wiser and more determined to chart her own path. Despite the success of Trio 2, the emotional scars lingered. Dolly's apology to Linda and Emmylou brought a sense of closure, but the question remained: could she ever truly let go of the grudges she had carried throughout the project? The burden of guilt. Dolly Parton eventually reached out to Linda Ronstadt and Emmylou Harris to apologize for the difficulties that arose during their time working together. She openly admitted that she hadn't been the easiest person to collaborate with and expressed regret over how things had turned out. Linda, though slow to respond, eventually accepted Dolly's heartfelt apology. Emmylou, known for her role as the peacemaker in the group, was quick to forgive. Their forgiveness lifted a huge weight off Dolly's shoulders, allowing her to finally let go of the guilt that had lingered for years. She could now look back on their collaboration without the burden of regret. What are your thoughts about the challenges that caused Dolly to develop negative feelings toward Linda? Share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.